Y'all have proven time and time again that a lot of you dusty ass bitches are liars.
Enters the term cheating because it would only make sense for you to lie with the understanding that if I lie, it's going to push me ahead. How ironic is it that Meg the Stallion, or as I say, Meg the Man Horse, because that's what a stallion is, how fitting is it that Meg the Man Horse is out here running around claiming, alleging, just with no proof, no nothing, just even the freaking couple that was on TikTok that everybody knows, and I'm not gonna show no picture of them, I'm not gonna name them. Even they caught your boy or showed videos of him in the doggone club, whether it was before or after, whatever. At least that much was put out there. This mug just get on the internet and you got all these allegations swirling. And yes, absolutely, it could affect Clay's bottom line in the right situation. Because we already know Megan, the man horse, has lied on several people before, costing them their livelihood, costing them their reputation. But she continues to just excel. Does that sound like anything familiar? You lie or be dishonest sets someone else back while pushing you forward who's doing the lying. Well, dang on, that's the definition of cheating. The real definition. Not that little silly way that y'all use cheating so that you can be considered a victim while you bond with other people who cry cheat, cheat, cheat. Sort of like y'all bond with other people who cry narcissist, narcissist, narcissist. That is a person deflecting because that's in your DNA. That is tied to the DNA of a woman more often than anything to be a narcissist, which is a lover of yourself who just sits and selfies all day and makeup all day and turning around showing that their body is shaped like a pea from their or their bottom half and everything else. That's a narcissist. You overly love yourself. You overly keep on selling yourself because you are more in love with yourself. If you could date yourself, you probably would because you're in love with yourself. You're doing things that prove that you are therefore defined properly as a narcissist. And there's a whole story tied to a person named Narcissus. That's where narcissist even comes from in the first place. But see, y'all ain't learned. Y'all don't know history. And y'all just be yapping. So now that we got that word out the way, this word cheating, it's a term that clearly means someone doing everything dishonest possible to push themselves ahead of the line because you're not qualified in the first place. Do you know how many divorces are put forth in the court system? Because you shouldn't do that anyway. But you know how many marriages are created? The version of marriage, because that's Antichrist version. God's version is the real thing. But you know how many antichrist marriages or marriages, period, in the court system, I should say, or family court, is ripped apart, decimated, because somebody literally walked in dishonest to begin with, knowing that that's in their character, knowing that they're capable of doing that type of thing. And now, because you have entered a thing dishonest, not qualified, a proposal has been made to you. Because that's what happens when you're going up for a position. That's what happens when you're going up for a job. You're interviewed. You're eventually made a proposal to. And you have to accept the proposal honestly. Y'all have done everything y'all can to use this fanfare and dropping to a knee and making sure this woman got a big diamond on her finger and all this stuff. And that's not a proposal. That's just a lot of extra that has been commercialized into and romanticized into some fairy tale. He dropped to one knee. He proposed to me with a message in the sky tied to a plane or whatever the heck y'all do. He bungee jumped and a ring fell in my lap. Like y'all just be having all kind of crazy things and creating it and calling it a dang old proposal. That's not a proposal. A real true godly proposal, a real true proposal period, is literally a man making an offer with his life based off having his sugar honey iced tea together and he's trying to offer it to the woman. Your job at that point is to either accept or deny based off true qualifications. But how many times have y'all admitted on this app or in life, or whether you admit it or not, that you walked in a Walmart, that you walked in a Dunkin' Donuts, that you walked in a wherever, and you gloated or bragged that you got a position that you knew you weren't qualified for, but you're going to get that $50 an hour and you're going to get all those benefits that's tied to it, at least until aisle 5 is on fire and now you're exposed. And that's how a lot of you go into these marriages. That's how a lot of you walk out, because you go into those marriages and this worldly Babylonian court that does nothing like God says. It only tries to mimic it. That's why they're over the marriage, because you signed their paperwork and God has nothing to do with that marriage. And we'll talk about that another time. But they use that system to bankrupt men and destroy men and decimate families, and you just let them do it. One moment black power, the next moment white zaddy is on my side. I'm gonna give that man head over on the silver platter like he John the Baptist. So let's go back. So let's go back to this cheating term and use it properly. You use systems to destroy people. You use systems to push people who are actually qualified down to the bottom so that you can move up to the front. And that's what Meg Thee Stallion is doing. That's what most of you brides do. Whether you're taking a man's children, whether you're taking his resources for 18 years, whatever it is you're doing to still stay connected to him, because you are trash and you can do nothing by yourself. You want to create competition, but you can never compete with the man. That's why you have to put him through systems to make sure you somehow push him to the bottom while you're elevating to the top. And the greatness in the man given by God, when he locks in and focus, he still ends up getting to the top because you're the trash and you're the counterfeit. How many times have we seen athletes exposed through sports because they were found to be on PEDs? You're not qualified. How many times have we found uh, people who slid answers to the side? Some of us, when we were younger, we slid answers. Some of us, when we were grown ups, shoot, there's probably CDL drivers driving out here right now because somebody slid them the answers. That's why there's so many accidents. Because the true definition of the term cheating is literally to jump the line. You cannot freaking jump the line for I've been with this woman for X amount of years and now I stepped out. That doesn't make me jump no line. That just you can call it whatever you want to call it in context properly. And I'm not gonna help you with any words. That's the thing. Y'all can't be creative enough and astute enough and on point enough because you're cheating to be in a relationship you're in the first place. You 9 to 10 shouldn't be there. That's why you're always using that word, because you're paranoid. You don't want nobody to find out that you're the cheater. So you keep calling somebody else the cheater. It's sort of the way you throw that word narcissism around. Nobody jumps any line because they have a desire for another woman. 9 out of 10, they probably have a desire for another woman because you ain't feminine, or you're hurting them, or you're verbally abusive and this, that, the other. Because y'all can't never be the monster. Y'all can't never be the bad one. It's always the dude somehow. So none of what you can do can run that man into the arms of another woman who actually loves him, actually cares for him, is not after his resources like you are. So what doesn't come out in the rinse comes out in the wash, and y'all are exposed, and y'all throw it around these terms that don't even mean what y'all trying to make them mean. You are just using the term as a shaming tactic and as a way to get ahead of the line. You won't get ahead of the line, neither will Megan the Man Horse. I'm out, baby.